The little rocket mouse, and last I left off, I finished getting the rest of the base coat on, which is tiger yellow. That's what I call it. It's actually German dark yellow from Vallejo here. Basically shot the whole thing. Some of the black base coat does show through, which is what I wanted for some shadows, but I'm going to have to go back in and do a little more post shading, especially around the vents and everything. I like tanks dirty. I don't like them clean, especially on mine. But some places you can see where it's maybe a little spotchy with the black showing through. I'm going to leave it because I do like faded paint. And then once I get the camo on, and it'll all work out fine. And then plus we'll get a little weathering on there as well. But anyway, base coat's on, camouflage is up next. The rail itself, I actually went back in and sanded and putted, and I got a putty again right through here. You can see where it's kind of indented. I just didn't get enough putty in there, so I got to putty and sand that. But actually we're about ready to after I get done puttying that, get ready to paint it. And I'm going to paint this basically a medium gray. I was going to do like a metallic, but I think what I'm going to do is do a medium gray. And I do like wear and tear, so I'm going to do a gray plus a lot of dry brushing where there's metallic on there, so it looks like there's a lot been worn. And of course washes and all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm almost done with the rails, so I can put the V2 on. And the V2, I was going to paint it with basically bottle paint through an airbrush, but I cheated and I went with Tamiya's Field Gray. Now that's just a solid green. I gotta go one more coat and I think I'll be satisfied with it, but I did, hopefully I got everywhere. Always good to double check different light sources, make sure you got everything. But anyway, I think I got it covered, but I gotta look it over one more time, and then I'm gonna let it dry for one day because I got a mask, and we are gonna mask it. If you do your V2 search here, I want to do something like that, but a little more crazier. It's basically got a dark green, light green, and then yellow. I want to do a yellow, but I want to do dark green, and I'm also going to do a red brown. And I like the, I call it the splinter pattern. I want to do a crazy pattern like that. I want to make it up. Not really going to follow anything. I would do a squiggly line on the V2 because that was like the very first early ones, but it's going to have squiggly line on the tank itself, and I didn't want to. I want to have two different sets of camos on here just to break up the monotony of it. But anyway, if you look at the base, it's kind of like you might see a little camo in there. It's kind of basically what I'm going to do with the tank and then with the V2. But anyway, we'll figure it out once we get there. But anyway, got the base coat on. I'm basically going to let that dry, and then we'll proceed to the fun stage. But anyway, that's where I stand on Little Rocket Mouse. The Delta connection, I got it mostly painted. I gotta flip it over. I got a little run on one side, which I cheated again. I should have used airbrush, but I cheated. I had white primer and I held it too close. But anyway, I'll fix that. We'll get that painted, fixed up, and then I got to paint the bottom one more time, and then the bottom of the plane. And I'll show you here. It gets light gray. And I'm going to paint that when I paint this. It'll just be easier to do all the grays all at one time, and then I'll be ready to... that's basically the only color it's got is white body with a light gray undercoat. And maybe a silver on the tip wing, but we'll just see how well that goes. If not, we'll definitely get the light gray on there. But anyway, that's where I am on the Delta connection. The Tiger Defender, I went in and I put the epoxy sculpt. I filled in the light bar holes. I filled in the where the mirrors go, filled them in, and then I went in and painted. And I had just a little bit in a rattle can spray paint. You can see where the likes to crackle on the body, and I even washed it and everything. It's just, I don't know why, but it's no big deal. You can go back in with a little bit of sandpaper because that's what I do. I just want something that when I put paint on, it'll bite it instead of the cheap plastic, because I do not want to sand it down bare once you get the car body, you had to sand it down, then put primer. I didn't want to do that. I cheated and did that. But anyway, I got the front painted a little bit primer white. You can see where the fangs are bleeding in. And of course, we'll paint the grill and stuff later afterwards. It's actually a gray car. It's not a silver car. So we got to find the light gray, which is why I want to get the light gray for that, to kind of go with that, and then I can just paint everything all at once. Got the fin on. I think we're good and sturdy. I went ahead and glued it down. I didn't have to screw it in, so we are good to go on that. So I want to try to do some primer today, get that all taken care of, and then I'm going to let it sit, and then we'll have to start working on the, I got to find out what actual gray it is, and if not, I'm going to get really close to the color. But anyway, the Viper Defender is slowly taking shape. The cheaper, the alternate version of the Viper Defender. And up next, for the Build for Others, we are going to build the Dodge Stealth here. It's actually going to have lights in it. It's going to have the lights here. I got to open up the headlights and put lights out there, and it's going to have the the rear red tail lights, and that's the only lights I'm going to put in it. Now I got to say this, when I build car models for people, unless I am told otherwise, it's not going to have the motor, because this is going to have lights. The battery is actually going to go into the hood, so you'll be able to pop the hood, change the battery, and put the hood down. Now I'll put some of the motor down on the bottom where you can see if you flip it, but it won't have the motor itself. That's just something, unless, you know, I'm told up front that you want the motor, no lights, because most time it's hard to put the lights, you know, you got to put it in the trunk, and, you know, it's just hard to pull the model apart to put the battery in, because these kits ain't really designed for lighting, you know. So anyway, we're going to be doing that up next, and we'll probably do this next week. I had to get some lights ordered, so they'll be in, and we'll finish this first before we start that, because we don't want to have too much on the table. Of course, you know, we do like chaos around here at BHP headquarters. But anyway, that's what I've got going on today. The assistant there telling me to hurry up and get her some tuna. So anyway, that's what I got going on. We're going to get ready to start the Dodge Stealth. The Viper Defender getting some primer. The little Rocket Mouse getting some paint. And we are trying to get the white on the Delta Connection. So that's what we got going on today. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode.